We deal with people telling us what we can and can't do on a daily basis. We have certain rules, certain things to abide by. What is publicly safe for children to see, or video games are bad, influence on violence. It's been going on for years. This movie tackles it head on. It's called Censor. This is a release from Vinegar Syndrome, I believe the Blu-ray debut, and this is a hard shell cover. I don't have the wrong movie. These are movies within the movie. So Ascender, and then Beastman, and then we see Censor, the Blu-ray right here. That there. Nice booklet inside. Reversible cover. And once again, great packaging from Vinegar Syndrome. They always do a fantastic job with these releases. Enid Baines, a film screener at the BBFC, has earned an unsavory reputation for being the organization's strictest censor of violent films. Unexpectedly, Enid is contacted by Frederick North, a notorious director for exceptionally brutal, low-budget horror movies, who has requested that she personally review his work for classification. While viewing one of North's films, Enid is struck by its narrative similarities to the disappearance of her own sister years earlier. But when she finds another of North's films, which stars a woman who bears a striking resemblance to her sister, Enid's life begins spiraling out of control, sending her on a mysterious and terrifying journey into the dark and violent recesses of her past. Censor, from 2021, 84 minutes. This movie takes us back to the glory days of VHS. The aesthetic of this film, shot on 35mm, the use of lighting, and the way that even the framing, the aspect ratio, the lighting, the colors, all set this mood of intensity, paranoia, claustrophobia, kind of on edge. There's a whole thing about, these movies that are coming out low budget, considered video nasties. Video nasty was something that was like low budget, usually horror, exploitation, hardcore, violence, blood, gore, like that. And these things were popping up at video stores, and the media ran with it, newspapers ran with it, especially in the UK. They blamed the video nasties for crime rising and all this stuff, rock and roll is bad, guys, kind of thing. So this movie goes into that, where we follow a censor who watches all these films and kind of gives her rating, gives what they should cut out and what they should leave in and type thing, So we get that kind of feel in the start. In her office, she goes through the films, and then she's contacted by this famous exploitation director, Frederick North, and watches one of the films. And there's a scene early on where Enid has dinner with her parents, and they're trying to convince her that her sister is dead. And there's a death certificate and everything they show her, but Enid's convinced that she's still missing. She's still out there missing. So we got that layer of Enid in there as well. Anyway, she's triggered by North's film. The whole idea of this movie, what happens to the censor after watching all this stuff? So if it's true that violence becomes more rampant because of the art, because of what's on the movie, because of the violence in movies, in TV, in video games, what happens to the people that watch that stuff and give the ratings? They go into that, and they go into like the deeper demons of the censor. She becomes so paranoid and so complicated and dead set on trying to figure out the truth behind North's film. Is that really her sister? What's going on? So she goes to even North's house and confronts him, and things happen. I don't want to spoil too much, because there's some shocking stuff that happens in the third act that I think is highly rewarding if you don't know much about it going in. The aesthetic of this film is fantastic. Like I said, it was shot on 35mm. You're really thrown back into that retro feel. Let's talk about the director, Prano Bailey-Bond. This was her feature film debut. Wow, she really knows what she wanted to do. She really knows how to command a scene, how to direct an actor, how to visually express what she wants. The use of color, it's very much like a giallo film. The high pinks, the high color contrast. You have greens and reds and all these different things. And then you have the sound design mixed into there. Really gives her some nice jump scares and also some shocking visuals that, I would compare it to like Stanley Kubrick. So you get a little bit of the Shining vibes in here. And I'm not just talking about the act. This was a fantastic horror film, probably one of the best horror films that I've seen recently. So let's get into some special features. This thing is loaded. I gotta say, this is like taking a film class on horror. So if you want to do it right, this is how you do it. Special features include commentary with director Prano Bailey-Bond and cinematographer Annika Summerson, commentary with historian and author Kat Ellinger, interview with director Prano Bailey-Bond. This interview was great. She really gives her explanation on what inspired her for this. You know, she really went back into the video nasty era, did her research, based it off of like, well, what if there's a woman censor? Because usually there was male censors. So she's like, what if there's a woman censor? And what happens to her with her own trauma, bringing it into her work life, that kind of thing. So that kind of elevates the material. This thing even includes like one of her early short films, My Nasty Memories, a featurette with David Gregory on video nasties. So you get a little history of video nasties in here. There's a 16-page booklet with an essay. Like I said, Censor is a fantastic horror movie. I highly recommend it. Let me know your thoughts if you guys have seen Censor. This has been Return of the Disc. I'm Dan. For more Return of the Disc, visit returnofthedisc.com. Check out the audio version of today's show, available on all major podcast platforms. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel.